All right. All right. Testing. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. I'm gonna quickly pull this up, see how it's doing. Folks, you're gonna want to be here for this one. You're gonna want to be here for this one. Everything sound good? Oh, I didn't even turn on my headphones. I'm losing my mind here. I'm going insane. I'm going insane. I'm losing my mind. Folks need to be here. But anyway. So to provide some context. As to where I'm coming from. So, oh, I should probably turn this off by now. Yeah, there we go. So to provide some context, so this weekend was Magic Fest Philadelphia, where they had the Pro Tour was the big thing, but they had a bunch of other things. They had panels, they had about cosplay and world building and how to learn Phyrexia. Now, yeah, now you're seeing. Don't even. Things have happened. Yeah, they got Omnath. Yeah, no, there's so much. There is so much to talk about with this. One of the panels that they had was and I knew this panel was coming, was a first look of March the Machine. Yeah, there's so much. So there's so much to there's so much to go down. There's so much to go down with this. Big Juice Star freaking out in the chat, as we all should be. So March the Machine had the first spoiler. So these are the first spoilers we've gotten for the new set, and the set is looking absolutely insane. I've been looking all weekend to see when is this panel happening, and it wasn't until the end of work today when those synapses, there's like 3 minutes left to work, and those synapses fire through my head and go, I should check spoilers. And then I checked spoilers, and then it took me usually it takes me 20 minutes just to walk from my house to the place I work at. It took me 20 minutes to close down the entire shop, lock everything up, get from my place to the store, get to the store, to the grocery store, buy dinner, get from the grocery store to the house, cook dinner and eat dinner. It's only been half an hour because I'm so excited. I'm in Sonic mode. I am literally vibing. I'm literally vibrating because there's so much to talk about with the cards we have seen so far. And I don't even know where to start. I have honestly no idea where even to start. It's looking like a multicolors mashup, big creatures, all kinds of crazy things. So I guess we should start from the top, go down, and then go into theories and stuff like that. So I'm going to just do classic English reading left to right. That's what we're going to be doing. Starting here with Fairy Mastermind. Fairy Mastermind is a 2-mana, 2/1 flash flying. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card, and for 4 mana, each player draws a card. This is also, see from the text box, Yuta Takahashi, World Champion, 27. This is the card that Yuta Takahashi got for his World Championship, and I'm not saying it's a boring card, but the thing is, look at the rest of the things it's next to. It's actually really cool. It's actually honestly really cool. It's a flash fairy that comes in clearly from the world of Eldraine, and one thing we're going to be seeing a lot in this set is that this is literally just, they took every single world that we have visited in the last 10 years and have just thrown them together into one superset with Phyrexia at the core of it. It's literally what it is, and these are official previews, and I'm losing my mind. Not kidding. Okay, so with Fairy Mastermind, it's super cool for a fairy set, for fairy decks and flash decks, and also because it's each player, so it's also group hug decks, and there's just a lot of versatility that this card has. It's not quite my kind of card, but this is a very good card, and if this is kind of the caliber of rares that we're going to be seeing, I am super excited. And I guess one thing that's actually interesting to note is it's kind of difficult to tell which of these cards are rares and which ones are mythics. I have some ideas based off of some of this stuff, but anyway, let's go on. Now, the Kenrith's Royal Funeral here. 2, a white and a black for a legendary enchantment. One thing that I'm not sure about is what this set symbol is, because there's 3 set symbols I've been seeing. We've got this kind of sword and, like, sickle moon thing here. That is, I'm guessing is the base thing for the set. The base Mark the Machine set. I don't know which of these cards are going to be for, like, the Commander set. Which of them are supposed to be for, like, the I don't know what all the set symbols mean. This one I know is different than these, so I'm not sure if this is from, if this is for the Eldraine set that we know we're going to be going to at the end of the in the fall, or if this is going to be for Aftermath or something. But the thing that's notable is that Wizards of the Coast officially spoiled it, and the Kenriths are dead. The Kenrith Sinrith. So this is the King Kenrith. I'm forgetting his name. What's his actual name? The white with the 4 activated abilities from the first time I went to Eldraine. Guy's dead. So is his wife. Which is kind of weird because we spent the entire last time we were on Eldraine trying to find him, and then we find him, we bring him back, and now he's dead. Yeah. Rip the Kenriths. But the thing about this, here is the thing about this card. It means that Will and Rowan are now the Monarchs of Eldraine. Will and Rowan are now the Monarchs of Eldraine because their parents are dead. Which has big implications for the next time we see them, which is either going to be in this set or when we return to Eldraine. Probably when we return to Eldraine. Whatever set this card is from is going to, now Will and Rowan are in charge of Eldraine. But enough about the lore. On to the actual text of the card. I haven't gotten to the text of the card. When the Kenrith's Royal Funeral enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 legendary creature cards from your graveyard. You draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the greatest mana value among cards exiled this way. Legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card exiled with the Kenrith's Royal Funeral. So this is really good in a couple places. The obvious one is in a Legendary's Matters deck. So something like a Joda or Joda is the big one. Yeah. I think it's so it only exiling creatures is the only thing you can exile for the card draw and the reduction, all that stuff. But it does reduce all of your spells, because I know that Pikachu Star, I know for a fact that you're trying to talk about you're talking about Planeswalkers. Why not Planeswalkers? So I'm not sure why it only does creatures. Well, I guess it's for flavor reasons. It's for flavor reasons because there are creatures who are dying. These aren't Planeswalkers who are dying. It's creatures who are dying. 2 of them. It's actually a very, very, very flavorful card in that regard. But it does reduce the cost of Planeswalkers and legendary anything. So if you got a legendary artifact, you got a legendary enchantment, you got a legendary instant or sorcery, which I don't know when those are coming back, but this set could surprise me with anything at this point. So I think it's super cool for those kinds of decks. But you already pointed out Catilda and Lear, bringing together 2 of my pet decks, Human Tribal and Flashback Tribal, in 1 card. Who thought this was a good idea? Again, with the set symbol, I'm not sure exactly what set this is. I do see down here in the bottom, it says a pre-release, so I'm guessing that the actual stream, I haven't watched the stream, but I literally just checked the spoilers and saw this and then zoomed on over to here to get the stream up and running. Which is why I am talking literally a mile a minute. I am so incredibly excited. But I love this card. I absolutely adore this card. Whenever you cast a human spell, target instant sorcery in your graveyard gains flashback until the turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. You can bring together so many different synergies. For context, I have a Savine, the Chronoclasm deck, which is based around flashback, and I have a Human Tribal deck with Catilda as the lead. The big thing I'm going to say is this deck is not going to be like either of those decks. It's not going to be like Savine. Savine is kind of a combo-y, spell or heavy, trying to cast stuff like Expropriate, gain infinite value through bringing flashback cards back into your graveyard and that kind of stuff. Struggles to get on the board as a control deck. This is not that. And then Catilda is a super aggressive, low to the ground human deck that just floods out a bunch of humans, gets a whole bunch of the creatures going. It's really an aggressive deck by turn 5, turn 6. You're trying to get 6, 7, 8, 9 humans. Like, I'm not kidding. Just tons of utility humans that just aggro. This card is going to be a mid-range card. This is going to be a mid-range card, which is going to be utilizing spell. There's some enchantments in blue that whenever you cast a card from your graveyard, you get an effect. So there's one that gives you ravens. There's one that gives you... there's actually 2 cards I can think of right now that give you card draw. I can't think of their names right now because I'm not even going there. But I've always, for a long time, have been like, I wish that there was like a card in green that allowed you to use flashback, and now we have it. And all that good stuff. And so this is going to be really a mid-range deck. It's going to be using utility humans, probably like Tireless Tracker, and it's like a bunch of Bant humans and stuff like that, in combination with really good instant and sorcery spells to get multiple value, stuff from your graveyard, and just really utilize this value generation to be this really cool combination of things. One of the big things that I'm seeing for this card is you do not have to worry about ramp at all. Every single one of your human spells is going to get back your Cultivates, your Gadamas Reaches, your Rampant Growths. I am already imagining just playing all the best ramp spells in this deck. It's going to be so cool. It's going to be so cool. And so just like infinite value, but on the board value, which I'm really looking forward to building. On to the 4th card. Omnath, Locus of All. I think everyone predicted it was going to be Locus of All, and everyone predicted it was going to get black. What we didn't predict is the fact that it would be corrupted, become a Phyrexian Elemental, and that's how it would gain its black via a Phyrexian mana. Oh my goodness, this is so incredibly exciting. I don't even remember what all the text does, but like, poor Omnath, I'm sorry, bud. The evasion hasn't done you well, but welcome to the show. And it also works because the last set was Phyrexia All will be 1, and this is Locus of All. I'm kicking myself that I didn't see this. Like, they've been telegraphing it for like forever. One thing I will say is that literally this set is all just nothing but what am I even looking for? It's fan service. This whole set is fan service. There is so much fan service in this set, and I am falling for it head over heels, tripping over my boots. But I understand it's fan service. So, anyway, Omnath Locus of All is 1 white, 1 blue, 1 Phyrexian black, 1 red, and 1 green for a 4/4 Phyrexian Elemental, legendary creature. If you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card, and if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols in its mana cost, if you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colors and put it into your hand. If you don't reveal it, put it into your hand. So, draw an extra card. I think I'm reading this right. It's just straight up draw an extra card at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. The second thing is if you have a multicolored deck that has 3 or more colors, you get 3 mana for free. What? And Omnath costs as little as 4 and 2 life. The black mana pip is Phyrexian mana. Oh my goodness. My only thoughts about this with the rest, and the rest of the set is going to repeat this to a degree, is I recently just built a 5-color deck that would like half these cards. And I don't know where to... I would have to cut like half the deck because this card's amazing. It has to go straight into there. Honestly, it probably replaces Niv. Because I'm just going to go straight 3-color. Just big 3-color green stuff is probably what's going to happen. Niv, in this case, is Niv Mizzet Reborn from War of the Spark. Probably replaces Niv. But this card is... I love this card. I mean, it's literally... at its worst, it's 4 mana. It gives you extra mana, so you don't ever waste any mana. It becomes black mana, but you don't care. It would have been colorless or whatnot. It keeps all of your mana between turns. It keeps all your mana between turns and draws you an additional card at the beginning. Not at the beginning of your upkeep. The trigger is in a weird spot, but at the beginning of your pre-comp, it's draw 2 cards each turn. For 4 mana, 4/4. This card's ridiculous. I actually think, honestly, even though I'm mostly a commander player and mostly commander, this could see play in like Pioneer and big green piles with the other Omnath. Honestly. I honestly think so. Because this card's just so good. Moving on to the second row. We've got, and this is a big thing, there's a whole, like, I think it's going to be 2 cycles of, we saw the first one with Catilda and Lear, but I'm just going now, it's 2 cycles of legendary team-ups from each of the worlds. yeah, Yargle! Did I mention that this is literally just mono... Everyone's here, Drew! This is the Smash! This is the Smash set! This is Smash Bros! This is Smash Bros of Magic the Gathering. Everyone's here! We have Galton and Marvin. Yeah, we thought War of the Spark was Smash. No. This is the real Smash. This is the real Smash Bros. Galta and Marvin. Galta is the giant dinosaur, of course. Marvin is, you probably don't remember Marvin. He's a random white vampire that was, I think he's 4 mana. Whenever you attack with a vampire, you get a vampire. If you play white vampires, you might know him. Otherwise, I don't know. But Galta and Marvin are teaming up. Patience, Pikachu. Sorry, I'm going to get to these cards eventually. Just give me patience. But Galton and Marvin, super amazing. Is I don't know. Remember what the text is? It's just the fact that we have Galta and the vampires working together. This changes all the dynamics of all of the worlds because everyone's teaming up. Here we have Catilda and Lear. I don't remember what... Okay, so Catilda was the leader of the humans, who I'm guessing is now a human again? She died and became a spirit in the last set. Is she like an actual human now? What happened? I guess Lear... And Lear is a worshiper of basically Kraken monsters that hypothetically live in the dips of Innistrad. Galta, of course, the big embodiment of green things on Ixalan, and Marvin, one of the vampires taking over Ixalan. I guess they're teaming up now. 7 mana, so 3 green, white, for a legendary creature, Dinosaur Vampire. Also, the tribes of this set are all over the place. Trample for 12/12. When you attack, just attack? When you attack, choose 1. Create a tapped and attacking XX green dinosaur creature token with trample, where X is the greatest power among other attacking creatures. Or create X 1/1 white vampire tokens with lifelink, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. Oh my goodness. It's Rabbit Tribe cards of the set. No, unfortunately, Drew, it's all the stuff we've seen so far. Rabbits are for the future, unfortunately. But this card is crazy. Okay, so the thing is, it doesn't trigger on itself, so it has to be another creature. But we haven't seen much. We might get them. I don't know. I have no idea. They're putting so much in this set. They could put anything. They could put in rabbits. I don't know. But here's the thing. So the one thing that's notable here is, I guess, with the first ability, the first of when the attack is the dinosaur that is created is other attacking creatures. So you can't just attack with Galta and get a 12/12, unfortunately. So probably in that, if you just attack with Galta, you're going to get a single vampire. That being said, if you're just attacking with Galta, you've got some problems. Because Galta can also trigger when other creatures attack. So you can bring out Galta. It doesn't have hate, or Galta and Marvin. I should say both of them. They're both here. Galta and Marvin, when they come out together, and you attack with a giant board or a single giant creature, then you get a token from these. And of course, then the creatures you then create off of those abilities then can trigger Galta and Marvin on concurrent turns. So there's a giant beater, works in Vampire Tribal, and I guess the only problem with Vampire Tribal is the fact that vampires aren't green. But this is definitely going into a lot of Dinosaur Tribal decks. I could absolutely see this going to Dinosaur Tribal decks, and also tokens decks, like Jetmir. And, one thing, like a Jetmir, like a buff spell with helps both of these modes. Like, if you have a buff spell like, I'll just bring up Jetmir, +3/+0. Like, if you make a bunch of vampires, they're going to have the buff, and if you make, a dinosaur, it's going to have, its power and toughness is going to be equal to the base power and toughness of the creature, plus any buffs that you have out, which are going to be some significant ones. So yeah, a super fun card. I mean, most of these cards are fun. Not critically looking into them at the current moment, but I'm just imagining it. Tokens decks, dinosaur decks, all that good stuff. Then we have Slimefoot and Squee, the two Rabble Masters of the Weatherlight. Absolute fan service. 100% fan service, by the way. They're Jund, so black, red, and green, which makes sense with their colors. For a 3/3 legendary creature, Gobless. Yep, Taurus says hello. Henzie Toolbox Taurus. For a 3/3. Whenever Slimefoot and Squee enters the battlefield or attacks, you make a 1/1 green sap-rolling creature token. And then for 1, a black and a red and a green, sacrifice a sap-rolling, return Slimefoot with green, and up to 1 other target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate other sorcery. I did not read that second line of text! I totally just didn't read the line of text that is also unearthed from your graveyard. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Henzie 100% says hello. The only issue is you're going to have to get a good, reliable set of sap-rolling tokens, which you're going to get a sap-rolling token from it entering the battlefield, and if it attacks, you get another, he makes 2. With Henzie, if you blitz him in, he's going to make 2. Yeah. And of course, then when he comes back, he makes another one. So the only issue is if they manage to get rid of both of them before it rotates around to your next turn, then you don't get that. But what are the chances of that? Literally comes in, 4 mana, return it and something else. That's insane. This is a really good card. As its own commander, this is going to be, I think, one of the default homes. I mean, you're sacrificing what? So first, sap-rolling tribal, this card's instantly in. This card has created a new sap-rolling tribal deck that's super, super cool. With like old Slimefoot and that kind of stuff that now has red. You don't get access to the white sap-rolling generation cards. I think there are 2 cards in white that care about sap-rollings in a sense, but you had access to all the black and green ones, so who cares? And then you get access to a ton of sacrifice energies in red and black, and so you just get Jund stuff. This is, the fact that, and the other thing is, this is a card that you're never playing commander tax for. You're only paying commander tax for in situations where you're not happy. Where like it's gotten exiled out of your graveyard and stuff like that. It literally it's commander text from now on is its second ability, and it brings something back alongside that. This thing is crazy. I love this. I love this so much. All right, moving on to Goro Goro and Saitaro. It is simply a blue, a black, and a red. So as you can see, we have here this cycle. This is the first of so there's 2 concurrent legendary team up cycles. We've got the 3 color one, which we see some other stuff down there, and we've got the 2 color one. And the 3 color ones, the thing I'm noting is they've got a different set symbol. I think, yeah, that one doesn't. I don't know what sets these cards are coming out. I think these are pre-release. Anyway, who cares? Goro Goro and Saitaro is a goblin human 3/4 legendary creature. These are from Kamigawa. Goro Goro was the 2 mana when your modified creatures get hasted, and then 5 mana to create a dragon with your modified stuff. Saitaro, he was the one that made all your stuff ninjas. That's right, he was the guy that made everything ninjas. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn deal combat damage to a player, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. And for 1 red creatures you control, gain haste until end of turn. This is interesting. So it really plays around with kind of the oh my goodness, this is so good with ninjutsu, because whenever you ninjutsu something out, you get a dragon. And so it does enter the battlefield, deal combat damage to a player. So I think it's only going to give you 1 dragon per time you do this. Or it's either 1 dragon per player or just 1 dragon in total. I'm not exactly sure. But this is going to be interesting, kind of creating a unblockable It also gives haste, so you can just cast something and then swing it with like an unblockable creature. Tons of dragons coming out, which is super, super cool. If you use... Oh, wait a minute. If you find a way to utilize... if you have enough mana to do this, if you get an extra combat step somehow, and you give your dragons haste, the dragons themselves will create dragons upon dealing combat damage. That's notable. You can create a chain. It doesn't go infinite unless you have infinite mana already, at which point, yeah, sure, do it. But it is notable to note that if you're able to get a second combat or a third combat, the dragons, if you give them haste, therefore able to get more dragons. It's not quite my kind of card. It's not quite my kind of deck, but I can see people loving this deck. Absolutely, it's ninjas plus Grixis. Who doesn't love ninjas? Who doesn't love Grixis? Moving on. It's getting hot in here. I was hoping Chandra would be good for my new Will and Rowan. Yeah. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, let's start at the top. Beacon, hope, Chandra, Hope's Beacon. It was hard to see behind all the fire, but, Chandra, Hope's Beacon for 4 red for a 5 loyalty Chandra Planeswalker. Whenever you cast instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. So just straight up, that 5 mana enchantment is crying in the corner. Because Chandra does the exact same thing, copying your first one, and and it triggers for every turn. So if you cast an instant on their turn, double vision. Chandra is better than double vision, and she's not a strict upgrade, but she's real good. She's in most situations better than double vision. She can be attacked, so it is easier to get rid of her. All the stuff that comes with Planeswalkers, but in the case of my deck, I'm playing a Planeswalker tribal deck that was looking for this ability anyway, because it has instant sorcery synergies, and she's just so good at that. Her +2 is add 2 mana in any combination of colors, so she's actually a 4 mana Planeswalker. Surprise! Her +1 is exile the top 5 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast an instant or sorcery from among those exiled cards. So basically you get to search a ton of cards, helps out with mono red decks find instant sorceries, and of course also generates value off the fact that her reverse ability is going to copy that instant sorcery unless you cast instant sorcery yet this turn. And then her -X is she deals X damage to each of up to 2 targets. Interesting that it's 2, but that's just a good removal spell, and she doesn't have an actual ultimate, but if she's got enough loyalty, she can just tick down, get rid of 2 things need be. So she's a removal spell, worst case scenario. I mean, the fact, basically, her passive ability plus her +2 is the reason to run her. I think that alone is good enough. And then the fact that she has emergency card draw and emergency removal spell actually does really, really help out. What are you saying wait about? Yeah, it's a plus. She has, the only minus she has is the -X. The card draw is a plus. It does, 4 of the cards are, I'm guessing because the other 4 cards just stay in exile. That's the only reason I can come up with, is because the other 4 cards are going to remain in exile. But it's still a plus. Yeah, no, she is so good. She is so good. Always, just mono plus, all that good stuff. Yeah. She is mono plus. Yeah, I love her. I think she's very niche. She is only good in she's good in Spellslinger decks that like to copy spells already. And I have a Planeswalker deck that is also an Planeswalker deck. So I could see in a lot of situations people not liking her. I'm not. She does not go in your generic Super Friends deck. That is something to note. She does not go into your generic Super Friends deck. She is not good in that deck. She is good if she is a Spellslinger Planeswalker, and if she is good in decks that want to be Spellslinger Planeswalkers. Yeah. So I'm super excited for her. I'm really excited for her. I know people who are really excited for her. One of them is going off a chat. And yeah. So Moving on to the next row. We haven't even gotten to all the everything. I think we should just straight up go. Where did it start? Where to start? Thalia and the Gitrog monster. Just keep going left to right, left to right. Is one a white and a black, a one white and a black, a one white, black, green for a legendary creature, human frog horror. Thalia literally riding the Gitrog monster into combat. First strike and death touch, so you're not blocking this 4/4. You may play an additional land at each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, and whenever it attacks, sacrifice a creature or land, then draw a card. Yeah, that's the Gitrog. So this card is a lands deck and an aristocrats deck, and is combat oriented. There is a lot going into it. There's a lot going into this card. And it also is just a first strike death toucher, for a 4-mana 4/4 first strike death toucher that allows you to play additional lands. There's no downsides to this card. There's no, besides the colors. Whoop-de-doo. If you're running this, you know what you're getting yourself into. Good to see that. I guess the big joke with this is a lot of people thought in Shadows of Innistrad that Thalia got eaten by the Gitrog monster in the lore, and I think there was like some kind of reference to this. No, clearly she was just taming it to ride into battle against the Phyrexians. Obviously. How did you not realize that 5 years ago? And also fan service through the roof. Everyone loves the Gitrog monster. Everyone loves Thalia, and here they are running into battle together, and we love it. We love it so much. But this also combines Thalia, both the abilities of the Thalia and Gitrog monster from Shadows of Innistrad into one card. And it's also what's interesting. What's super cool about this is it's both a lands deck. So it's an aggressive lands deck. It adds a completely new, I don't know if Abzan lands is really a thing. It adds a completely new element of stuff to it, to the lands deck archetype. In that regard. But it's also an aristocrats deck. So you're sacrificing, because you can sacrifice creatures too, to get that card draw. So it's very versatile, and your opponent is almost never going to be able to punish her coming in, or punish them. There's two of them. And never going to be able to punish them coming in and hitting you because it has first strike and death touch. So, I think it's I want to put this into my 5-color deck. I'm not sure if it's good enough, but there's definitely some really cool stuff you can do with this one. Combining the two ideas. Most of these cards, what's super cool about them is they are combining multiple archetypes in and of their creation, and so combining aristocrats and lands and having aristocrat lands is super cool. Next up, we have Yargle and Multani. 3 black, green for a legendary creature, Frog Spear Elemental. 18/6! 18/6! No abilities, just a wonderful piece of flavor text of, I've heard so much about you from my daughter, Multani rumbled. There was a time when I'd balk at your aid, Phantom, but she has shown me the merit in Urborg's strange ways. Replied Yargle. This card is a straight up meme. The thing that makes me so sad is I had a deck that would love this card. I had a black-green, just big creatures deck that just played the biggest creatures with no abilities, or mostly usually downsides, and just cycled through them. And Yargle Multani is the biggest of creatures. 18 power. Is this the most power that's been on a Magic the Gathering card ever? I'm thinking this is the most default power that's been on a Magic the Gathering creature, with the exception of Merit Lage. Ever. 18 power. 18 power. It's 6 toughness, but honestly, 6 toughness isn't that little. It is 6 mana. 6 toughness isn't that little. 18 power. Can we get the biggest... And of course, the daughter that Multani is referencing in this situation is Muldrotha. Wondering if we'll see Muldrotha somewhere in the set. Or if this is just the only thing. So Muldrotha is... So, yeah. So they're referencing Muldrotha. But I mean, complete fan service. Giant Yargle. Multani's there too. I don't care. I love them. I love them both together. Then we have Drana and Linvala of Zendikar. 1 white, white, black for legendary creature Vampire Angel. Flying, it's a 3/4. Flying Vigilance. The activated abilities of creatures your opponent control can't be activated, which is a Linvala ability. And Drana and Linvala has all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. Okay, so this one is dependent on what your opponents are playing. Is the big thing. If shutting down your opponent's activated abilities is insane. Like they're really good cards that have done this. The original Linvala for crying out loud. Although it's gotten a little bit worse, but then Drana and Linvala getting all those abilities back. I don't know what kind of deck you could build around them, but I'm sure you could build something. The fact is, super versatile, can go into an Angel tribal deck, can go into a Vampire tribal deck, and will be good in those decks, just as a hate bear, flying Vigilance, and then just getting your opponent's abilities. I don't know if there's like a donate style deck where you could donate things to your opponent and then use Drana and Linvala having all those activated abilities. Like, is there a way to donate them a Horseshoe Crab and donate them like some kind of like if you, let's say you donate Horseshoe Crab and you donate some card that taps to some creature that taps to add 2 mana, then Drana and Linvala will be able to tap infinitely. But that's already getting into like 5-color territory. That's like a Crackleburr combo. This card strikes me as a Crackleburr kind of combo card where we really need to wait a long ways away in the future before we can truly go infinite in like a really simple way with this. But that being said, just as a hate bear, a good really good hate bear that's going to go into Vampire decks and Angel decks. They're going to struggle to be your commanders themselves, but I'm excited to see what they do. Breach the Multiverse. So we've seen everybody who's facing the Phyrexians. Well, we've also seen Omnath, who's been corrupted by a Phyrexian. But what are the Phyrexians themselves doing in this situation? Well, let's find out. Breach the Multiverse is 5 black for a sorcery. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. As Elish Norn says, all worlds will know perfection. This is... this is... Angelo is getting a lot of support in this set, apparently. Just a big... So for context, the Angelo deck that we're referring to when I say that is it's an aristocrat spells deck that uses giant spells like Breach the Multiverse to get a bunch of card advantage and then copies them by using Angelo's sacrifice encore ability to sacrifice stuff. And so we just get some big spells, and this is a really good spell in that deck. Being able to get back a ton of creatures. For each player you get a creature or planeswalker back. Like, this is really good in just like mono black. Like, a bunch of decks really like this. Like, if you are graveyard related in any capacity, you play this card. I think if you're running the 7 black return all creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield, you run this in addition to that card. This card does not replace Rise of the Dark Realms. This card does not replace Rise of the Dark Realms. It complements it. So it's just another gigantic, and it also fuels it as well. So if you're already going down this Reanimator route, this Mass Reanimator route, this whole mono black, big spells, graveyard stuff, this card's really good in that context. And I think that's just where it's at. That's just where it's at. All right, moving on. We've got some more deaths. Moment of Truth, I think, is the only common from this. Look at the top 3 cards of the library, put 1 into your hand, 1 into your graveyard, and 1 into the bottom of your library. 1 a blue for an instant. With the flavor text on the principle of eternity, Elspeth made a choice. The fight would not end without her. Yeah, Heliod got anointed too. And everyone's getting anointed. Everyone's getting anointed. Heliod was bad anyways, okay? Sucks to suck, Heliod. But moment of truth, so at the end of New Phyrexia, we saw Elspeth yeet out with the Silex too. I don't know where she went. There's going to be story. There's going to be story that's coming out and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm guessing this is her being like, hey, guess what? I probably should go back and finish the job. It is notable that we see feathers in this, and I'm guessing they're angel feathers. Is Elspeth an angel? I mean, that's just speculation. But she does come from New Capenna, known for its angels. I would not be surprised if she was an angel. We got some wings there. So, hey. Yeah, so I would not be surprised. But that being said, I've got no context besides some feathers falling. But Elspeth is going to return and going to absolutely demolish some Phyrexians, I'm imagining. I'll get into my story stuff, where I think the story is going after this, once we get through all of these. Because I've got a lot of hot takes on the story. Because there's a lot of implications that these spoilers right here bring up about where the set is, where Magic the Gathering is going. Because that's the big thing. And notably, there are no battles within any of these. They have not spoiled the battle mechanic, which we know is coming via, we're assuming is coming via the text that's on Traxa. So no battles in this set so far. But anyway, let's move on to Heliod the Radiant Dawn, which is previewing that they've got some flip cards. They do have these enchantment flip cards, which we're going to get to. Heliod the Radiant Dawn is 2 white for a legendary enchantment creature god. When Heliod the Radiant Dawn enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. And then for 3 and a Phyrexian blue, transform Heliod the Radiant Dawn, activate only as a sorcery, and transforms into Heliod the Warped Eclipse. Who is a legendary enchantment creature Phyrexian god, you may cast spells as though they had flash, and spells you cast cost 1 less for each card your opponents have drawn this turn. And there's a wonderful quote from a Johnny Goldman, who is a sleeper agent, and is completed, which says, complete the faith, complete the god. Complete the god, complete the plane. Which is just a wonderful text. And actually, you know what this is? Because the gods of Theros are powered by the faith of the mortals on Theros. So what this is saying is that a fair number of Theros people have gotten completed, enough so that Heliod has been completed in the process, which is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Also, somehow they let him out of the underworld. That happened too. As for the card itself, what's super interesting about Heliod is well, first off, for commander purposes, Heliod is Azorius. So Heliod is both blue and white. And we see that more on the backside. And I'm wondering if that means that Heliod was completed by Jin-Gitaxias, technically. It's interesting that they made that inclusion. The Heliod's really interesting in that he is an enchantment matter, so enchantment cards matters. Card. In that regard, so bringing back a bunch of utility enchantments, not God tribal, does not work with other gods since it only brings back non-god enchantments. It specifies that. So a bunch of people are probably going to be putting this into their god decks. Well, not a bad decision. Oh, actually, also another thing that's notable is Heliod has lost his indestructible. Watch out for that. Everyone's going to be like, oh, Heliod's indestructible because he's a Theros god. Heliod has lost his indestructible. He doesn't have indestructible. That's interesting. That is super, super interesting. So much more fragile than gods of the past. Heliod is no longer indestructible. And then transforming Heliod the Warped Eclipse, you may cast your opponent's spells. Basically becomes a ley line of anticipation in this form of Vulcan Orrery, but also adds a cost reduction. So naturally, your opponent's spells are going to naturally cost one less because they're spells. But if you play things like some group huggy-esque cards, like the Mine or Thaunt of Mythos or Quain, you can Howling Mine. Thank you. You can get more cost reduction. And what's interesting, and this goes into, I've been seeing a couple people playing the Council of Four from the Baldur's Gate set. And the Council of Four likes having your opponents draw additional cards. Also works with Fairy Mastermind here, where everybody each player draws their second card each turn, you get a card. So it works well with that too. So being able to cost reduce things and get them at instant speed is super interesting. I'm wondering if that's an ability they're going to be playing into. I think it's going to be a cool Enchantment Matters kind of slightly group hug-y style deck. That's going to be Politics deck. Yeah, he could definitely go into a Politics deck because if you're getting your opponent's cards, Also notable. Okay, wait a minute. It doesn't, the cost reduction doesn't matter whose turn it is. So if it goes to your turn, you wheel and you make your opponents draw 7 cards, all of your cards are going to cost 21 less. So then you can just start dropping Eldrazi like nobody's business. Another card to make wheels annoying. Exactly what we wanted. Yeah, so you can absolutely play a ridiculous Eldrazi deck with this guy, which could also be really fun. I think it's a fun commander. Another commander I'm not necessarily going to be looking forward to playing, but there's some big fun things you can do with Heliod, and I'm excited. It's so cool to see these characters get completed. I hope that there's characters who don't get completed, but it's cool seeing characters get completed. So now you may be wondering, hey, Sebastiano, what's the great synthesis over there on the side? It's the back of a card. It's the back of Jin-Gitaxias. No adjectives, no adverbs, no descriptors, no nothing. Straight up Jin-Gitaxias. 3 blue, and I'm guessing all the players are going to have something like this. 3 blue for a 5/5 Phyrexian Praetor. My favorite Phyrexian Praetor. It has Ward 2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, draw a card. For 3 and a blue, exile Jin-Gitaxias, then return to the battlefield, transform under its owner's control, activate only as a sorcery, and only if you have 7 or more cards in hand. Okay, so this is interesting. So what does the backside do? The Great Synthesis. This is a saga. So it's about saga time. I mean, every single block we've had have had sagas come out at some point, and the last couple sets didn't have them. So here they are. They're on the backs of Praetors, and these sagas are ridiculous. The first chapter, draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size for as long as you control the Great Synthesis. Chapter 2 is return all non-Phyrexian creatures to their owner's hands, and Chapter 3 is you may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. Exile the Great Synthesis and return it to the battlefield. Oh my goodness. This card is ridiculous. Jin-Gitaxias is ridiculous. You're saying on Hello, you're saying Planeswalkers, I don't know. The big thing is if you can cast expensive spells and draw cards, you can get stuff. He's mythic. I'm assuming they're all mythic. If you can cast big spells with like more a convert mana cost of 3 or more, like that's a pretty big thing that you get a bunch of cards. Get enough up to Jin-Gitaxias to flip it, and then you can get yourself the Great Synthesis. And the Great Synthesis, if you can get to the Great Synthesis is absolutely busted. You draw a ton of cards. No more hand size. I guess for as long as the Great Synthesis exists. Basically wipe the entire board, and then you get Omniscience. Just straight up Omniscience turn 3, and if you return all your creatures with Chapter 2, you can then play them back out with Chapter 3. You can play out all the cards you drew with Chapter 1 in Chapter 3. Yeah. Yeah, then you have to your hand. Yeah, so then the maximum hand size doesn't matter anymore because you just play everything. You just play everything, and then it flips back to Jin-Jitaxis. Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting to note. You have to play all your spells. Okay, this is something I want to see the rulings on. Because it says you may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. You have to cast them all then. All the spells go cast then. So I'm not sure if this is like instants or something. It's not until end of turn. So I'm wondering what that means. Does that mean you could ignore timing restrictions? Sometimes this means you can't ignore timing restrictions. It might be able to ignore timing restrictions. This is something I want to see some clarity on. If you're able to ignore timing restrictions on it, because the way it's currently worded, you would only be able to cast out a bunch of instants. Worst case scenario, you play a bunch of instants for free. Best case scenario, you empty your entire hand, but you still got a bunch of lands there. You flip Jin-Jitaxis flips, and then you pay 4 mana and flip Jin-Jitaxis back over to the Great Synthesis. But you will not be able to... Yeah, if you can't ignore, it's going to be sad. I'm imagining based off of all the wording, it's supposed to be that you can ignore it. That it doesn't matter. But we'll see. And the other cards that were spoiled were the gain lands. So, when it comes to actual like stuff, we know these lands well. Nothing new here. Well, actually, tons new. We'll get to the new stuff second. But I do want to point out, in the Commander set, Plane Chase is coming back. Plane Chase is coming back in the Commander set. And we've got a couple of the planes, which is super, super exciting. The return to Plane Chase. And these have this symbol here, which I'm wondering if that symbol means that these 4, I guess these 3, Slimefoot and Squee, Goro and Saturo and Catilda and Lear are commander cards. That's why I said it based off of this, because this has the same symbol. I'm wondering if they're the heads of the decks. They might be the heads of the decks, but who knows? But yeah, it looks like we're getting Return to Plane Chase, which is super, 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 super exciting. It's been so long. It's been like literally 10 years since we got to Plane Chase. So, buckle up. Get ready for some planes. And I think Isle of Vesuvia is Isle of Vesuvia is old. Spatial Merging is old, but very flavorful. Tawashi is new. Tawashi is a new plane. Modified creatures you control have trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. And whenever you whenever chaos ensues, distribute 3+1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 creatures you control. I think that wording's different. I think originally it was if whenever you roll chaos. Now it's whenever chaos ensues. Yeah, that is new wording. I like it more. I do like it more. It's more flavorful. Because it's not like, oh yeah, you're that kind of stuff. Plane Chase is great. I'm not going to review Plane Chase and Plane Chase cards. Just have fun. Tawashi is the kind of playing... If you're playing a modified deck, seems cool. But you can also modify your creatures with Tawashi. It's cool just to see new places. And we're going to be seeing probably all of the planes in this. Speaking of seeing all the planes, let's go through the flavor texts of the tapped game lands. So let's start with Tranquil Cove. The sky darkened and the seas turned to oil as the gods of Theros themselves fell to New Phyrexia. So Theros is having a really bad time. Theros is having a really, really bad time. It seems like the gods are getting turned into Phyrexians. I mean, we saw that with Heliod. I don't know how many other gods. A notable thing here to think about. We haven't been to Theros in a hot second. The last time we went was Elspeth escaping the world of the dead. I don't know who's notable on Theros right now. One thing that's notable is I think Gideon's spirit is in the Theros underworld. So we could be seeing the return of Gideon in spirit form. If he's like, wait a minute, my spiritual realm is getting destroyed. What's happening? That's notable. Besides that, and the gods getting corrupted. And the other thing is we're going to have to see how much do the Phyrexians destroy the multiverse. Because all the multiversal stories are getting changed at this point. And Wizard of the Coast has gone ahead and said, yeah, everything's changing from here. Everything that was happening on these worlds is different. And they're all getting... Some stuff is happening to all of them. So, I always think Theros, the gods are getting turned into Phyrexians. And it's probably emblematic of the people getting turned into Phyrexians based on the stuff that is happening in... that Ajani is saying in... Heliod's flavor text. Moving on to Dismal Backwater. The invasion tree's branches snake through the streets of Odawara, turning Kamigawa's soaring city into a clouded nightmare. So Odawara is getting changed by the giant invasion tree snaking into its reality. We already knew Kamigawa was going to be getting affected. We saw that already to a degree. And on the packaging for the set. It's crazy stuff. Bloodfell Caves. Having learned of New Capenna's Halo supply, Elish Norn dispatched Atraxa herself to bring the world to heal. So Elish Norn learned, wait a minute, New Capenna has an answer in the form of Halo. Atraxa, stop it. So Atraxa is going straight to New Capenna to try and route out the Halo source. We haven't seen any cards from New Capenna yet. We haven't seen any characters from New Capenna yet. We saw characters from Theros, characters from Kamigawa. Wondering what kind of defense New Capenna is launching. And New Capenna has already rejected Phyrexians, so they are directly getting involved in this. So, interesting to see the developments. We've only gotten a tiny snapshot of some of these worlds. Interested to see what happens. Rugged Highlands. The Royal Zendikar's plain white immune system rose in full force against the threat of the Phyrexian invasion. This is an interesting one. Zendikar, of course, the Royal is the immune system that's been trying to get rid of the world of Zendikar is alive, unlike a lot of... Well, all the worlds are alive, but Zendikar is really, really, really alive. And the Royal, the kind of destructive elemental force that goes across it, was its immune system, and it's been... The reason why it was so violent in the past is because it had the Eldrazi there. The Eldrazi are gone, but here are the Phyrexians, and the Royal is not having any of them. It's interesting to see this is the first world, and I think the only world, based off of what I remember from the text, that's actively itself repelling the Phyrexians. Interested to see if there's any... we saw Omnath get corrupted, and Omnath is a byproduct of Zendikar living, so... Interested to see how all of this ties in and stuff like that, if the Phyrexians have any... Well, they already have corrupted Omnath, so... Who knows, but a lot of interesting stuff still to think about. Blossoming Sands, the Copper Host. Oh, by the way, this is the second time Host has been mentioned, I think. No. The Chrome Ghost is mentioned later. Let me actually jump ahead slightly to Swiftwater Cliffs. Kaladesh's wondrous inventions and glowing aether were of utmost interest to Jin-Jitaxis and his Chrome Host. So, Jin-Jitaxis, of course, worked a lot with Tezzeret ahead of time, and Tezzeret has dipped. He's dipped. He left the Phyrexians after he got a Darksteel body from them. I wonder if he'll show up with his Darksteel body. We'll see. He might be down the road. But of course, the way the Phyrexians got out of Phyrexia in the first place was thanks to Tezzeret and the planar bridge from Kaladesh. So it makes sense that Jin-Jitaxis is like, I I wonder what stuff you guys got. What other things you've got? So he is fascinated with the world. It would be clear that he's fascinated with the world Swiftwater Cliffs, which is going to put Jin-Gitaxias in direct conflict with Chandra. Chandra's not going to be happy, which means Jin-Gitaxias might not be surviving this, or Chandra's not surviving this. One of the two, they cannot both get out of this, which I'm really sad about. I guess they could get out of this both alive. It's unlikely, though. I'll get to that in a second, but because I love both of them so much. Jin-Gitaxias is my favorite Praetor. Chandra, top 5 favorite Planeswalkers. One of them's probably going down in the fight for Kaladesh. But I want to see who comes in from Kaladesh. I mean, we've got Chandra's mom, Pia, is still there. We've got a bunch of different characters from... I mean, we could see anybody. Literally, they were pulling Mavrid from Ixalan. We could see anybody from Kaladesh. So that's exciting. But anyway, the idea of the host, the Chrome host, bring that back to Blossoming Sands. The Copper host brought hideous mockery to new life on Amonkhet's death-cursed desert. This is super interesting because so clearly Jin-Gitaxias has the Chrome host. The Copper host is obviously a reference to Vorinclex. So Vorinclex is bringing in. So I'm guessing that each of the Praetors has a host based off of a metal type and that kind of stuff. I don't know where Urabrask is going to end up falling within the realm because we've been kind of asking about his loyalties for a while at this point. But I'm imagining that the other 4 have hosts of their own type. So I think the hosts are based off the mirror. I think the hosts are going to be based off the mirror because we have the Chrome host. It was Chrome mirror, Copper host, Copper mirror. So that's going to be Lead host for Shieldred. Oh frick! Gotta remember my mirrors. The mirror. It's Silver. No, I remember remembering my mirror correctly. Let's jump over here for a second. Not EDH Rec. You remind me mirror. What are my mirror types? Am I remembering these correctly? I don't think I am actually. Gold mirror. Iron mirror, lead mirror. It's copper mirror for green. Copper mirror. I think it's silver mirror for blue. Silver mirror. Okay, so I didn't quite get it right. But chrome makes sense because and copper also makes sense for Vorinclex. Coming from the copper forests. Chrome host because it's coming. I guess the second thing would be the copper forests of the Tangle, the chrome hosts of the Quicksilver Sea, and that would be probably. I mean, we've got the Dross. So it would be the Dross, either Dross, Necrogen, or Lead for Shieldred. Could be Porcelain Host, honestly, for Elishnorn. I don't know what materials, but the idea is that basically, this one's super interesting because Amonkhet, basically, the world's been gone. The world's been gone after Nicol Bolas's whole charade. It was nothing but a dead desert. There wasn't, unlike all the other worlds, there wasn't anything here. And Vorinclex is bringing life back to the dead desert. What are the implications of that? That is absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I'm super, super excited. Do we get... Who is still on Amonkhet? Who's going to come back from Amonkhet? I'm not sure. Scoured Barrens has, as oil seeped from Icoria's crystals, strange metallic mutations emerge in monsters all across the plane. Oh, dear Lord! I mean, of course, they're everywhere, but... They're corrupting the crystals of Ikoria and just creating absolute monstrosities. I can't wait to see what monstrosities they make from Ikoria stuff, because they can just go absolutely ham. Like, it's terrifying to remember. Legendary creatures, we've got Kudro and what's Kudro's daughter's name? I'm not remembering. Luca was the Planeswalker, but he's been corrupted already. From the last set. What's we've got? Oh, we have the Mega Beasts. The Mega Beasts from Ikoria could be. I wonder if they appear because when I say when they appear, what I'm referring to is in the form of these team ups here. It depends on which one it is, a 3-color or 2-color. But yeah, so a lot of interesting stuff. Like, probably some terrifying creatures come out of these Scoured Barrens. Moving on, we have Jungle Hollow. The surface of Ixalan's vast tar pits, Phyrexian oil glistened, and old bones began to stir. We've already seen a lot of references with Ixalan to there being oil pits that have dinosaurs are alive, but more dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures. It seems like the oil of the Phyrexians is bringing to life the oil of Ixalan. We already see a couple cards from Ixalan, or a card, Galton and Mervyn, from Ixalan, and the whole idea of what creatures can be brought to life. I mean, Ixalan is the prehistoric world. It is the prehistoric world, and this is making me super excited for when we go to Ixalan. Assuming Ixalan isn't a complete corrupted mess by the time we get back to it, what creatures are lurking around it, because we really can get to explore more of Ixalan's past via this, and Phyrexia is going to beat us to it. Then Wind-Scarred Crag. Sarah was a symbol of hope to Dominaria, so Norn defiled her temples with monuments to Phyrexia. The Phyrexians have returned to Dominaria. I think of all of the cards is the least exciting to me because Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria. Where have we seen that before? So many times. But this time, Phyrexia just slammed them like a train and is doing some real work. So they're also in Dominaria. That's not the one that I'm excited about. I'm excited about the Phyrexians showing up everywhere else. And then Thornwood Falls. Deep in Eldraine's wilds, strange eye-like appendages twined from among the vines and fairy lights. This is terrifying. The mythological... also for the fall, because the next set after this one is in Eldraine. What are the implications of this? So, some super, super crazy things, some super exciting things. What does it mean for Eldraine to get ice sculptures? Yeah, so I guess that rounds out with the Jungle Hollow and the Thornwood Falls. Where is Magic the Gathering going in the future? What is the direction of this arc? And Wizard of the Coast has previously said that this set is going to have big, basically mending level changes to the world of Magic the Gathering. Which it could mean a bunch of things. But basically we have a few possibilities. Possibility one is, seems very unlikely. This possibility, based off of the stuff they've shown us so far, unless that they were lying to us with the previews they gave us of Eldraine and of Ixalan, is possibility one is that Phyrexian straight up win. Everything gets corrupted to their perfection, all that good stuff, Phyrexian straight up win. I don't think that's very likely based off of the stuff we've seen. I'm not ruling it out, though. It could be likely, but they would have had to literally lie to our face and done subterfuge for us in order to about the next two sets. Because the next two sets, at the current moment, we believe, are they've told us are Eldraine and Ixalan. So we're going to be going to Eldraine and Ixalan and dealing with the ramifications directly of what this is. And that might be where... the Kenrith's Royal Funeral comes from, honestly, is the ramifications of that. And we know we're going into the wilds. Who knows what all the ramifications of that are going to be. Option number two of the story is the Planeswalkers and the good guys, which are the multiverses team of everybody, pulls a War of the Spark and completely wins. Phyrexians are eliminated. All the evil is gone. The oil is no more. Complete victory. Which I think is more likely than a Phyrexian complete victory. But I think the fan base is going to be very sad with it. If it's be like, oh, come on, now what do we have to look forward to? Who's the bad guy? What's the bad? What's bad? You can't. The completely defeating the Phyrexians is like, what do you do now? They are the big bad, like even more so than the Eldrazi, even more so than Nicol Bolas. They are the big baddies, and so if they completely wipe off, then I think people are going to be like, okay, what happens next? There's going to be a bunch of lost people, and I've been sensing in the community a sense of we want finality and stuff like that. out of these sets and character deaths and stuff like that. And the Phyrexians getting completely defeated. Most of the planeswalkers who are completed getting uncompleted. The removal of the oil. People are going to be really upset by that. It's going to be I think it's going to be a disaster. It's more likely than I think the Phyrexians completely winning, but it's going to be a complete disaster. Middle zone is one of two things. The first is and the one I kind of hope for is the good guys win. The Phyrexians are defeated, but the Phyrexians aren't completely defeated. They're either pushed back to New Phyrexia, or they are severely injured in some way, and the next couple sets are them building strength and the good guys trying to gain their strength too, and it's an arms race. Or some level of this. Basically what it is that the Phyrexians are vastly hurt and lose the battle, but they haven't lost the war. So the first version is the Phyrexians win the war. Second version is the good guys and the planeswalkers win the war. Third one is the Phyrexians lose this battle, but the war is far from over. And I think that's one that could be very interesting as we go to all the worlds, see what's happening, how they're doing with this. We've had this giant battle, and then the Phyrexians are still at large and still a threat. And I don't know what the timeline of actually defeating them is or what the outcome is, because eventually, I mean, unless we want this to be Phyrexian the Gathering, eventually they're going to have to be defeated in some capacity, or else right now they're just kind of feeling like, or else they'll risk becoming Afton from Five Nights at Freddy's and just always coming back, and we're like, no, please, no more Phyrexians. Technically, they've only come back, even though from Dominaria's perspective they keep coming back. They've only come back twice, or come back once. And if we were to get a third iteration of Phyrexia, people are going to be like, oh, okay, this is a little bit silly. So, but I think having the war still be going on, but the Phyrexians being pushed out of most of the worlds that they were in, the invasion tree falling is probably a big step of that. I think is going to be super interesting, and could be the most intriguing of the routes. I don't know if they'll take it, but it would be the most intriguing of the routes. And the fourth outcome is Teferi comes in and does some kind of a giant retcon. We already know he could do time manipulation stuff. I guess it would be something similar to a mending level event. I need to look into what happened with the mending that made everything go back to normal. But this is basically Wizards of the Coast is seeming to, I think this is the most likely, is seemed to reference a bunch of times, is a mending level event is going to happen. And it might not wipe out the Phyrexians, but it's probably going to wipe out their influence across the planes. That's probably what's going to happen. This could completely destroy our faith in the integrity of the Magic the Gathering universe if we have a third mending level event, a second mending level event. But I don't know where it's going. And I think that's the most likely. I don't know what it looks like or how it's going to happen, but my hopes are the Phyrexians are pushed out of most of these planes, because as much as I love seeing the Phyrexians invade these planes, I also enjoy these planes for being separate and individual. And the Phyrexians just turning them all into Phyrexia is not cool. Yeah. And but I also want to see the Phyrexians still be around somewhere, because I really like them. So it's going to be interesting to see what the result is. The other thing I want to bring out is a worlds count. How many worlds? Because the whole thing is that we're seeing all the worlds. So we have a lot of Eldraine. We have Innistrad. So let's go through the 10 here. Eldraine, Dominaria, Ixalan, Kaladesh, Ikoria, Amonkhet, Zendikar, Theros, Kamigawa, and New Capenna within the 10 lands. And then, in addition to these, we also have Innistrad and 2 cards here, which isn't in any of the lands, which is super interesting. This is Dominaria, this is Zendikar, Kamigawa, Dominaria, Ixalan, and we've also got Zendikar. I think, yeah, so it's that these 10 worlds here plus Innistrad are the ones we're seeing. Um, the world that is currently in the spoils that is missing the most for me is Where's Ravnica? Where's Ravnica? In addition to Ravnica, we've also got... What we also know from the packaging that Quintorius is going to be making an appearance from the world of Strixhaven. And, who else? Quintorius... also Essica from Kaldheim is going to be making an appearance. We haven't seen any reference to Ravnica anywhere, but I would be hard-pressed to believe Ravnica wasn't affected by this. What are some other worlds that we haven't seen from these spoilers yet? Trying to go through all of them. We've seen most of the worlds, I think. Like, not necessarily old worlds. Alara. We haven't seen Alara. I don't know what's going on with Alara. I do know that Alara, from Tezzeret's story, we know that Alara is still kicking around and was invaded. So we know Alara could be one of these. Tezzeret, in fact, even sent a message to Rafine of the Many in the story to be like, hey, gather the angels, prepare for war. So Alara could be brought into this. And I think pretty much every other world from modern Magic. I guess Poliano from the Poliano from the dual draft set or the Conspiracy Poliano. But that's not a big world. There's also the one that was the Battle Bond world, that weird world. I haven't seen any reference to that one, although those two are not ones I'm high on my list. Although the Battle Bond world is, at some point, Will and Rowan are going to have to discover it, because they end up there. I mean, we could be moving... I mean, the big thing with Battle Bond is I'm pretty sure Battle Bond takes place in the future, because Will and Rowan are way older there than they are when we first meet them in Eldraine. So I'm pretty sure Battle Bond's in the future. This could be the world going towards Battle Bond future. That could be something of the Mending event. But I'm not sure what that looks like exactly. What are some other worlds we're missing? Chandalar, which is kind of the super generic fantasy set with Talrand, Sky Summoner, the most noble thing for them, in my mind, like most of Chandalar's, I mean, they were in a video game. Most of Chandalar's stuff is not very unique. The only unique thing, in my opinion, about Chandalar is, one, it's got super rich mana, and two, it has a habit of having creatures from the oceans rise out of the oceans, civilizations from the oceans rise up and try and conquer the land. It's if I had a nickel for every single time someone on a aquatic civilization in Chandalar rose up out of the oceans and conquered the land, threatened to conquer the land, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Because how does it happen twice in one world? That's just weird. But yeah, I think all the other worlds are represented here. Is Nicol Bolas's meditation realm going to get pierced by the tree and he's going to get out that way? That's another possibility. But yeah, so we for sure have these 10, which are 10 pretty big ones, and Innistrad represented. But and who knows? Like, basically every story in every single world stops here, and whatever happens next is going to all be building off of what happened here. We're going to be seeing a giant exchange of individuals from different planes in this. That one of my big predictions is a lot of people, random people from random different planes, are going to be dispersed across the multiverse, and then after whatever the big event is, they're going to be all in different planes. And it's going to be absolute chaos as the planeswalkers figure out how to get them back, or if they even want to get back. And also the fact that now because one of the big things is that the multiverse before this point, a lot of the individuals didn't know to an extent that, like, some of them had inklings that there was a multiverse. Maybe planeswalkers told them. But now all of them know about the multiverse. Every single world knows about the multiverse. And we could be seeing, like, one thing we could be seeing is in a world where Phyrexia is at least partially neutralized, and suddenly all of the worlds are connected, which would be really cool. In an ironic sense, all will become one. And I actually think that's another possibility, is all the worlds become one world. Not under Phyrexia's banner, though. I don't think it's going to be under Phyrexia's banner. But yeah, so... yeah, I think I've managed to talk myself hoarse and go through the entire set. Or at least the entire spoilers. I mean, ultimately, what is this? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 27 plus 3 planes cards. And actually, technically, -2, so 25 cards. 10 of which were lands. I think I have talked myself hoarse through this set. I think we're good. I think I've gone through it all. I am just so excited. We've got some cool cards. We've got some cool characters. We've got some cool story. I mean, some cool characters. We have just... we've got everyone's favorite legendaries all teaming up. Or corrupted. One of the two. So yeah. I'm excited. I think that's an understatement, is I'm excited for this set. I am excited for the set. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see what comes out. I'm excited for... I don't remember when spoilers begin in earnest. But I believe it's probably a little ways away. I think... When does spoiler... I'm going to look up on my phone. When is the spoiler season happening? The release date for March the Machine. So, March the Machine releases in April 21st. March the Machine comes out April 21st, 2023, which means spoiler season isn't until April, beginning of April. It's got a little over a month. It's going to be a while until we get the rest of the set. But we've got this to go off of and go crazy with. So, yeah. I think that's it. I think that's everything. If you've enjoyed the stream, please consider giving a follow and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to, as the set approaches, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be doing theory crafting for a bunch of cards from the set. You could 100% be going through a Catilda and Lear deck. 100% me trying to put Chandra and Omnath into decks. Whatever as the theory testing comes in, I'm 100% going to do it. So if you like what you've been seeing, feel free to drop a follow. I would greatly appreciate it. I am going to be changing the stream, like my name and icon and stuff like that, to be kind of more conducive to the rest of my content creation. Really start to get the content creation engine up and running. And I think that this set is, it basically just sets put a fire under my butt and been like, hey, guess what? You gotta get up and go, make everything, get everything ready, and so we can report and go over and deck build everything from this set. Because, I mean, how many commanders did we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 unique commanders. In the first preview, there are so many legendary creatures in this set. I'm predicting that there are going to be... Okay, Spacial predictions. How many legendary creatures are going to be in this set? I think that this is going to be a complete cycle of 3 color and a complete cycle of 2 color. So that's 20. Plus all 5 Praetors are going to be there. 25. Plus more. I think there's going to be like 40 legendary creatures in this set. How many cards are in this set? At least 256? 270? 270? 270 cards? 270 cards? That's a lot of cards. Yeah, so a lot of cards. I want to see anything that tells us when... No. Wait, I'm not this 387? Oh, 307? How many cards are in this set? Slimefoot is 447? How? No, these are different versions. How many? I'm going to have to look that up later. But there's going to be a lot of cards and a lot of legendaries for Commander. I am planning on really ramping up content creation for this set. Yeah, but if you want to see all that, follow the channel. I'm going to be streaming as often as possible, leading up to the set, theory crafting, and all that good stuff, and going over spoilers and whatever else happens. So, yep, get ready for the Battle of the Century, a Battle of Millennia, Battle of the Century, Battle of the Year. And I will be talking to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful good night. And cheers.